Y'all had a good weekend. Although I'm not. I would imagine it was a halfway decent weekend. Did y'all has any of you guys seen all this foolishness on X about the Paris? Like it looks like a war zone. I guess they won some football match and the entire city has just been overrun with coloreds. The whole like Paris, or France itself, I guess. You know, I straight up I don't believe it any of the bullshit anymore. Like I just feel like, it doesn't matter what part of life, what section of life it is, we're getting shit on. Like European men. It could be, domestic situation, or, like in your native country, you're getting shit on. In dating, you're getting shit on. In your job, you're getting shit on. It's just like, bro, we get it from every single angle at all times. At all times. And really, like, nobody even talks about us unless we aren't sitting still for it all. That's when we get shit. That's when people talk about us, when we don't just suck it up and take the blows and just keep moving. Like as soon as we speak up and say, "Hey, this doesn't seem very fair." Shut up, anti-Semite, misogynist. How dare you? Like you try to talk about, oh, this doesn't feel right, or you try to express, how you feel about something, and you're censored one way or the other. You get banned, you get attacked, and like blackballed, shamed, destroyed socially, or they just straight up put you in prison. Like Cenk Uygur, he was supposed to go to the Oxford Union debate this weekend. Bro, the United Kingdom straight up banned the guy because he's critical of Israel. Like, this is crazy, man. The West is not free anymore, not even close, and they are not even trying to keep up appearances anymore. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he's an Arab or a Turk. They would have done that if he was a white guy or not. But like, and that's why I don't believe any of the propaganda anymore, bro. Israel runs the show, man. Jews run the show. I mean, how what's the other explanation? Like, why is it that so many things revolve around this group of people? The mouthpiece of America is Mark Levin right now. Like, am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? Because I mean, as far as I can tell, this dude speaks for all of us. You look on X and you see all kinds of opinions, but for some reason, it's Mark Levin's opinion that that our government, our mainstream media, everything but us go along with that opinion or his opinion, and it just like how did an overweight, sloppy, effeminate Jew become the mouthpiece for all Americans and all Westerners, all Europeans? What the hell, man? When did this happen? And no, and really, I feel like nobody even notices it. That like Laura Loomer and Mark Levin are literally the mouthpieces of the West. Like, what they say goes. And it's just like, it's decline, 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 because everything that, every every move that we seem to be making is like a self-destructive, suicidal move that damages us, that damages, our way of life, damages our economy, damages, they write legislation to censor us. I mean, it's just from every direction possible. Our government starts enacting legislation like merging the IDF with America's military. This is insane, man. Like, we object to all of the aid money being sent to Israel. So rather than stopping that and no longer sending them our taxes, no, they 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 go the other direction. They start to embed Israel further into our bureaucracy. It's like, oh, shit. Our population or our constituents don't want us giving money to Israel anymore. This is a problem. Like, what are we going to do about this? Oh, we'll just make it so their complaining is irrelevant. We'll just remove their ability to speak out against it, their ability to affect change. I mean, which is essentially what they're doing. They're they're tied. We're already like kind of tied at the hip with this country. Now they want to make it to where we've like merged bodies or something. To where we like to get rid of them, we would have to kill ourselves. It's like Tyler Durden. We have to blow our own brains out to get rid of this parasite, man. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And I feel like the last like 30 years, this has been like a super tumultuous time. And it's like not a coincidence that all this stuff started like about the same time the internet, like really started taking off. And it's like all this upheaval, I feel like really the upheaval represents our ability to communicate with each other, our ability to compare notes in every aspect of life. I mean, you see it in dating, all this complaining and complaining, complaining. Well, most of the complaining is about how men won't sit still and take it lying down. I mean, it's the same thing with Israel. I guess they're just so used to having access to as much of our money as they want, to as much of America as they want. And when we start realizing what's going on and speaking out against it and fighting it, all of a sudden, you see them spring into action. They start buying up social media platforms and different other media platforms like Paramount and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like banning Cenk Uygur. I mean, that blows my mind right there because I would be banned. Like, I'm sure I'm banned. If he's banned, I'm most likely banned as well. So, and like the fact that England is banning Americans from going to England, bro, that should scare everybody, bro. Because England, that was like a state, an American state. You know what I mean? They're not even a sovereign country anymore. They're like a part of America, and we're being controlled. Like we're being banned from our own basically sovereign territory. This is crazy. Like this is not good, man. And it's strictly to enforce Israel's control. I mean, and to further cement their position on top of us at the top of the hierarchy. That you talk about Israel in a way that they don't like, and they they'll stop at nothing. They'll use every possible tool at their, at, that they have. They'll use every tool in the book. They'll attack your family. They'll try to get you fired, and I mean, their object of what they're doing is they're trying to ban people, or trying to shame people into censoring them, self censorship. And like the fact that so much of our government and our civilization is not about what it used to be about. Like, it's all turned into control, and we just have this idea of the way things used to be, and that's what they bank on, is that we still believe we live in a country that hasn't existed since the new millennia. It's crazy. And I feel like I'm like, nobody sees it. Nobody can understands what's happening. And like, and how we've gotten so far away from what used to be common knowledge, like the good parts of life and the point of living, the point of all of it, how tiresome it all is. But there used to be like a point to it, and you used to get some satisfaction out of just being a cog in the machine. But it has gotten so far out of control that now nobody is happy. It's like nobody is content with the way things are going. And I feel like a lot of it is Israel. And and they do this brainwashing to us so that they can hide like atrocities that they commit against other people, other humans. Like how nothing is simple, and everything has just layers and layers and layers and layers on top of it. So like, and I'm on X, and I'm like trying to put things in simple terms and succinctly, because you're not convincing anybody with these long bulk posts. Like, that's not working. Like, I see some people, they'll post something, and you see they're genuinely right, and they're trying to inform people, but it gets so convoluted that unless you know exactly what they're talking about and you have background knowledge, it just seems like gibberish. And so everything is so convoluted, and nobody has any attention span to. It's just like people are just like a ball of feelings, and they just go from feeling to feeling, reacting to everything, but thinking about nothing. And the Israelis, they play this game so well. So well, man. And they have just huge their institutions, and all of their representation on X. It's crazy, man, how not only are you fighting them and the Zionists, you're fighting the other dupes that still believe it, man. That still believe it. Watching people that, oh, I'm a patriot, such and such, and then they're calling somebody who's legitimately fighting this foreign influence. They're calling that person a traitor. And somehow, because I watch Nick Fuentes, or because people watch Nick Fuentes, they've smeared Nick Fuentes, you see. So even if he doesn't, like, I see people all the time posting about how evil Nick Fuentes is and this and that, and then they turn and kind of hold up some other far more evil person who's actually, people are dead because of that person. That person like advocates for killing human beings. Nick Fuentes has never advocated for killing people, ever. But he is supposed to be this terrible evil person, and it just blows my mind. Like, do people don't even have like a grasp on what good and evil is. And a lot of it is like, you know, when animals, like a herd of wildebeest or something, you know, a lion springs out of nowhere, and there's going to be a group of wildebeest on the edge of the herd that actually see the lion spring into action, and they react to it. And then the rest of the herd doesn't actually see the lion. The rest of the herd just reacts to the group that saw the lion. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's like what's going on all the time is they figured out sort of how to spook the herd, or or they have, it's a false flag, but they're able to spook the herd. And so people don't even understand what they're mad about. And so that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like people get emotional over stuff, but it's over stuff they've only overheard, stuff they've only been told. Like I see all the time people talking about Iran and how, oh, Iran's this evil, blah, 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 this evil terrorist state, this. And I'm like, well, where did you see that? Did you actually see that? Or are you just regurgitating what you saw on mainstream media? That's pretty much what it is, man. And it's like so tiresome, the fact that the people you're fighting, they're fighting you as if they witnessed something. Like, as if they know for a fact something happened. And you're trying to convince somebody that what they've been told is a lie. And it's like they don't hear it. The propaganda, the and what's crazy is the people who talk about propaganda the most on X are the actual propagandists. Laura Loomer, that woman is bro. She's like evil incarnate. That woman, and it's not and why she's so evil is because she knows exactly how to pick at people. She knows exactly how to get a rise out of people. I guess she's spent so much time being this gossiping bitch, a mean girl, ugly ass mean girl from high school. She knows how to rile people up, man. And she does it there's a reason why Israel hasn't shut her up, or, like, I don't even think she's Jewish, but she's like their right arm. You know what I mean? Like, Laura Loomer makes up like all of Israel's propaganda, all their other propaganda assets combined equal Laura Loomer. And it's incredible, man. I know, I understand how deeply evil and like how much damage that woman is doing. And people, they don't want to, a lot of people, they don't want to point this out because they feel like they'd be only, it's like congratulating her or, giving her a prize by saying, this is the most evil bitch to have ever lived, practically. Yeah, you'll give her some satisfaction, but people need to understand this woman is evil. She's like a demon, man. Diabolical. Like, and she's so, and it's like a miserable thing too. It kind of reminds me of that fable this about Solomon, where the two women come into the temple, and both of them, there's a baby, and they're both saying, that's my child, that's my child. And Solomon says, okay, here's the solution, we'll cut the baby in half, and you can have one half and you can have the other. And the one whose child it is says, fine, go ahead and cut it in half, because she doesn't want her kid to die. Laura Loomer is the other one. She is the other one. She's this really vindictive, disgusting human. She's just a disgusting human being. And some of these, like, honestly, I start to think to myself, like, man, I wish one person would just take this into their own hands. Like, that's like, I'm starting to feel that way. Like, my God, man, it's like somebody just needs to take one for the team and go and go take care of business because, bro, I don't see like these people, they're given this huge platform and they're landing like deadly blows against humanity. Like deadly blows, man. They're rocking people with these blows. And I think to myself, like, you guys, you know, you're gonna piss people, you're gonna drive people to the point where they let go of their humanity. And then nobody's gonna be able to stop what happens beyond that. Like, it's crazy. It's totally but that's what they're pushing. And it's like, oh, and these are the people that say, oh, anti-Semitism is on the rise. It's like, no, yeah, no shit. You're the one that convinces people that they've been enslaved by this little shitty country in the Middle East. And there's like no respite from it, man. They don't let you can't get away from it, you see. If you want to live in reality, you can't get away from it, man. And it's like our choices are to just let things keep going as they are or be called an anti-Semite. You know, they have narrowed it down to where if you put up any resistance against Israel, you're an anti-Semite. Never mind the fact that they're destroying your country, destroying your way of life, destroying your people. If you stand up, if you eat so much as sigh, you're an anti-Semite. At this point, it's like, who? Okay, okay, and what? Okay, that's fine. Like honestly, like I'm starting to let go of the pretense and just like, yeah, I guess this like people aren't. I haven't had anybody call me that, but it's like at this point, it's like that's acceptable. If it's a choice between that and watching everything I love burn to the ground while Laura Loomer and Mark Levin point and laugh at me, I mean, it's getting to the point where it's like, bro, I wish I could go fight these people. Like, I would be willing to die in this cause. Like, and I tend to feel and notice things, just before everybody else does. And it's like, do they even realize the kind of hell that can be rained down on them? You know, these people, they really are like a vine, that can't stand on its own. It's like because they're so in group, they're so racist. They you can't just join Judaism. They're so in group. They have such an in group preference, that they can't grow their numbers. They don't evangelize. They can't grow their numbers. They can't grow their group. They can't become a huge powerhouse of a nation because they don't have the numbers to breed that quickly. They don't want to be in. They like their exclusivity. So they can't become a dominant world power through sheer numbers. And they don't want to, but they do want to keep their exclusivity. So, and that right there, that keeps them small, but they also want to rule the world. They also want to have control over the world and us and everything in it. So they have to constantly they have to be at the top of all the hierarchies of the world. They have to be at the top of every country's hierarchy. They have to have their people at the top of any institutional structure. They have to be there because if they're not there and that country becomes powerful, well, then they're up shit creek. And they kind of figured that out in like World War II, I guess. They didn't have, a bunch of people at the top of our hierarchy, at the top of our institution. So they just double timed it for the 20th century to get in those positions. But like that seems like that is their strategy, is that they just get to the top of power hierarchies, and that's how they execute their control over everything. and they're so good at it. They they automatically they it's almost like they grow with the institutions. They grow with the systems. You know, when new stuff comes about, new things spring up, new flowers emerge, like a social media company say, they get their people in that social media company. They get them in there. They get them in there. They get them in every place. They no matter what happens, you know, it's like instead of investing in the winners, they invest in the winners and the losers. They leave no stone unturned. So it's always an uphill climb. There's always an immense amount of resistance to speaking up. And we're getting hit from every angle too. Like our country, I seen a thing that these leftists apparently they're saying that I think it was that Wu woman that's the mayor of Boston. This lady's talking about every human being on the planet has a right to live in America. Whether they hate America, whether they hate us, they have a right to be here, whether we like it or not. It's like, do we even have a right to live anymore? It doesn't feel like it. It does not feel like we even have that, or we have the right to live, but we don't have the right to do anything else. That's how it feels, man. And it's just like every day. I read a thing. A third of American men don't work or aren't in the labor force, and it's like I don't see that third of men as the problem. I see everything else as the problem. Like to think that those men are just lazy and that's absurd. You know, that's absolutely absurd that men would want that. I mean, we historically that isn't the case. It just isn't. But they've made it we've gotten to the point where we're strangers in our own country. You know, and the way America used to be about the majority. It was about giving a chance at life for everybody in America. And you know, the minority of people, coloreds, that got left out, they've slipped between the cracks. Used to be most people in America were pretty content with life. It was a good life. And then somebody decided, well, you know, there's this minority of people that have fallen through the cracks. But the thing is there's always going to be people that fall through the cracks. That you can't help. You can't help it. You know, when you focus on a group of people, you're automatically leaving groups out, or you know, you're not focusing on others. And when they well, let me start here. You know, Christianity is I'm starting to think maybe the fundamental issue is in our religion and our is in our ethos. You know, because it's the strong protect the weak. Strong protect the weak. Well, that has been pathologized. That has been truly turned against us and wielded as a weapon against us. Because we're supposedly the strong, the white man. We're supposedly the strong, and that may have been the case, you know, at some period, but it isn't the case anymore. But women still pretend as if that is the case. And the minorities, admittedly, were the weak in America. It's at one point, but you know, the majority of America was pretty content with life. And then all of a sudden, oh, but look at the minorities, the minority. Oh, you know, they're excluded from this, they're excluded from that. And then, okay, so we divert our attention and we help those minorities. You know, actually go out of our way to help the minorities. And then we start disadvantaging white people. You know, we start disadvantaging white people, white men. And when we get disenfranchised, we are the majority. When we're not doing well, America isn't doing well. That's a fact. That's a fact. So when they did this minority bullshit, it just like the whole bottom fell out of America. It's like a chain reaction. And it's the same thing with women in work. All of us, it's like we perfected Western society. We perfected the nuclear family. Literally perfected it. Had it down pat, man. Where we had a happy society that produced happy people, happy families. We find the perfect recipe, and then what do? We just throw it in the garbage and focus on minorities as if like and this is the reason why I say this is because if you notice, everything is about how we can help minorities and how great minorities are doing and this and that, like how how great they're doing, but how shitty we're doing. And our country's like success is like directly tied to our success. Like, and as these minorities take over, life gets harder here. Like everything gets harder here. Our future gets bleaker. Our prospects get bleaker. And then it is like a positive feedback loop because and when I see that 1/3 of American men are not participating, that scares the shit out of me because you know what their answer to that is? More immigration. If the white men aren't working, if something's wrong and the white men are okay, we'll just bring in more immigrants. We'll just bring in more of them. They bring in more of them, it throws more white men out of jobs, and down we go some more. Oh, well, I don't know what it is, but these white men, they just keep dropping out of the labor force. We're gonna have to bring over some more Indians, get some more H-1Bs until like I just seen this thing earlier that was saying that there's this pattern with Indians. Once they become the CEO of a company like Google, they strip out the rest of the administration and bring in Indians. And it's like one company after another, like dominoes, are falling to this shit. And these Indians bring their people over from their country to fill these roles, H-1Bs, until the whole company is that. And they fired all of their American employees. And it's just like we're just being hollowed out one day at a time, hollowing this country out, stripping it bare. And like I get this feeling of accelerationism. Like every so often, I start feeling like something. It's not going fast enough for me. It's like It's almost like I would rather live in a situation where like I had nothing. There was nothing that I loved. Like it was, everything was like I would rather never have something that I love than to have to watch the stuff I love burn to the ground. Like I think that's it. It's like if you want to be a part of a civilization, you got to catch it on the upswing, man, because the downswing, you're just going to want to blow your own brains out. And I mean, I'm starting to feel like just bombarded with negative, negative propaganda. Like it's just continuously, I feel like it's just trying to beat us into the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely get that feeling like some that we're there people are trying to demoralize us. The best way they know how. And I feel like life, really the point of life is, to reproduce, to have a family. Like that's a good portion of the fun of life is raising kids and having a family and a loving wife. And having those things is great motivation. It makes men move mountains. Because no matter, I mean, you can really dog a guy out if he has a family and a loving wife. I mean, I can dig ditches and it'd be okay. He'd be all right, you know? And then somebody convinced I don't know, somebody convinced somebody else that women should leave the home and go to work. That, that wasn't good enough for them. That they should go to work. And then and guys can still get by with that, they're as long as, they still have the loving wife and the family. But then that's not what we've been getting though. It's like now we don't, trying to word this right. You know, we could endure anything as men. Endure anything. As long as you have your home base, as long as you have your tribe, your family, your wife and stuff, you could do anything. And the world is sort of fun if you do. And but somebody convinces women that they should have that too. Like, okay, men look really content and they're enjoying their lives and they're out making, achieving things and, you know, uh, creating a legacy, building institutions, playing sports and stuff. But like all of the achieving and the goal oriented, all of it is a means to an end. It's so you can provide for your family. And then they tell women, yeah, you should go out and do the same thing that men do, even though women aren't made for that. Women are made to raise kids, have children. Men can't birth children. So yeah, we need women to do that. Sorry. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, we need you to, do what you're created to do. But they go out and get these jobs and it's like funny too cuz when you ask women why they have a job, well it's like, well, so I don't have to rely on anybody else. So I don't have to, so I can have a family, so I can have a husband and kids. I don't have to rely on a man to live. And so the family and the wife and family, it's like unattainable for a guy now. It's unattainable. So and then and no wonder that men lose. They become demoralized and they don't want to work anymore. Well, what's the point? You don't get kids and you don't get a wife and family anymore. So what's the point of working? And women, they think they need to go out and have a job and stuff. It's like somebody convinced them that they need to go out and get a job, have a job, make money so that they can support a family. But if they would just focus on being a good woman, a good wife, they wouldn't have to have money. Like, and it just blows my mind because that used to be understood. Everybody understood that. And then there was those few women, whether their husband died or whatever reason, where they ended up single, a divorced woman, they would end up divorced and then be on welfare and stuff. But like somebody convinced women that instead of focusing on being a good wife, you should make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure that you have a job so you don't, like, because women, they have these jobs because no matter what, you have to have an income to support children. Like, used to be women needed a man to before they could have children because they couldn't provide for themselves. So instead of those women focusing on being good wives so that, they didn't have to worry about that stuff, they said, no, let's try to be quasi men. Let's try to be an inadequate version of men. I mean, it's just like, it kind of just feels like I've used this analogy a lot, but the Jenga tower with the blocks pulled out of like that's what it feels like. All the things that Western society is built on, or all the things that Western society entails, they're built on a nuclear family. They're built on a husband working and a wife at home raising the kids, or a wife domestically raising the kids. They may not be at home. They may, do bake sales and stuff, or they may, they may not be at home all day, every day. Maybe they're out and about, but either way, their focus is raising the children. And then everything else is built upon that. And as soon as you take away the woman in the home raising the kids, everything else, nothing works. Nothing works. And instead of our society, I guess it's just we're that stupid, where instead of getting back to like to the tradition or the tried and true way, the way that we know works is like people started pushing women further and further and further away from being good wives. And like we're at this point almost a century down the line where everything is falling apart. Everything, because we just keep trying to fix problems that we ourselves created by making the problem worse. You know, the answer to modernity is like tradition. If we had just not pushed women out of the house, things wouldn't be like they are now. You know, like I feel like everybody has just kind of forgotten what the motivation was. Like, what is the point of everything? And we've gotten so far away from it, and nobody asks these questions anymore. These questions are never asked. Nobody ever puts things in simple terms. It's so everybody keeps it so complex. That way, nobody knows which end is up. It's all obfuscated. Ugh, it's disheartening, demoralizing to say the least. And I think it's all like a psyop just to keep us fighting each other. You know, like the Democrats and the Republicans. I was thinking about this the other day. You know, how the Democrats, they won't work with us at all. They won't work with Republicans at all. They won't even talk to people who they think are conservative. You know, that's so unreasonable and so absurd. I don't believe that it happened on accident. I believe that somebody set this stuff into motion. You know, we can't fight Israel. We can't kick them out of our government. We can't really defend ourselves if can't even agree on anything. If those people won't even talk to us, you know, it strikes me that all of this shit is absolutely contrived. It's definitely by design. It almost because all of it is built on sort of natural or intuitive things, people don't realize how complex they are, how complex. Like when people talk about the nuclear family, you'd think that that's just some kind of throwaway term, you know, or that a nuclear family, it's just something simple, but it's not. It's like the convergence of a lot of different variables. You know, it's like the planets align every time there's a nuclear. You know, when you think about like a nuclear family, a lot of things gotta go right before you end up with a nuclear family. A husband and a wife and kids, a lot of things gotta happen right. And if one little thing is off slightly, then it doesn't work. You don't get those, you know, and all of a sudden, like now that we don't, there are hardly no nuclear families to speak of. And it just blows my mind the way that women are pushed into throwing their 20s away. Like, you know, it's crazy to me how women could think that at 30 years old they're going to be able to get married. It's like, don't you realize the guys that are 30 and 35, they've already been through the ringer. They know what the games are. You've jerked them around for 10 years. What makes you think that they're going to be down with marrying you? Like, are you crazy? You know, like guys in their 30s, you know, like if you want to, you know, if you want to get a hold of a guy and a loving guy, somebody who's going to treat you right, you better do it in his 20s. And it doesn't, you know, I don't say in your 20s because that really doesn't matter. What matters is that guy is naive. What matters is that guy hasn't been stomped on by every other woman that came before you, by 20 women or whatever it is. That's what matters. He didn't get, because these women, the way because this is exactly what happened to me. You know, where I started dating at 18, 19, you know, I started dating and And I was thinking about, I wanted to get married and have kids, but that's not what women at that age want. They want to sow their oats for their 20s. And sowing their oats, what that means is toying with men, dating guys that they find attractive, and then discarding them like a tampon, like a used condom, just discarding them. Well, yeah, it's not like women can get prostitutes, they need men. So they stomp all over these men. And then when they turn 30 and they start looking around to date the 30-year-olds, yeah, those guys don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want anything to do with them because it's like, yeah, why would I want a 30-year-old woman like that's that's just spent her entire 20s stomping all over men and treating them like garbage and has a roster and stuff. It's just, it blows my mind. Men are at their highest value in their 30s, and you can't fool them with the games. They've already been through the ringer over and over. If you wanted a husband, if you wanted a family, you should have done it when you were 20 and that guy wanted to do it. You should have done it when he had ideas on the future. And didn't know what he knows now. Like, I've been through a lot of it. It's like, I avoid most of it because I know most of it is a scam. And I would have taken much less than I would have taken a woman that I deserve, or like not that great of a woman, like I would have settled for a lot less at 18, 19, 20. Big time. I would have. And I would have just sucked it up, even if I had realized that oh man, I could do better. Or, this woman, she's terrible. I can do better. Like, but I wouldn't leave though. I would have just sucked it up and kept going and just, okay, that's my lot in life. It is what it is. Carry on. And to their own detriment, do they push this stuff off? It's like, you don't realize it, but if you want a guy, you got to get him when he's naive. When he doesn't realize how hard being married and how hard it's going to be to deal with you. And it's just like, it's crazy because they're literally propagandized. They're literally brainwashed into thinking that men will never wise up, that men will always be there. And it's like, wow, really? Did you really? Is that really what you thought was going to happen? Honestly, it's sad because those guys at 30, they still got plenty of time left. They got plenty of time left. So really, you just screwed yourself out of being married. You just screwed yourself out of any chance of ever being happy or in content. Like any woman who pushes off marriage till they're 30, okay, yeah, you just basically said, okay, I'm going to sacrifice the rest of my life to have a 20s where I do whatever I want. It's crazy. It's crazy. And they think, I don't need a man. I'm strong and independent. I don't need a man. And they think they're going to be 25 for the rest of their life. Okay, I get it. You don't need a man at 25. You should keep that same energy when you're 55, sweetheart. You should keep that same energy when you're 45, sweetheart. We'll see if it plays out like that. We'll see if you're just as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after 30 years of working a 9 to 5. We'll see how you feel then, bitch. We'll see how much you like it. And we'll write that strong and independent woman. We'll put that on your epitaph for you after you die alone. Moron. I mean, the only thing more foolish and more gullible than an 18 or a 20-year-old man is an 18 or 20-year-old woman. I mean, it's like that simple. These people, they just swallow anything.
I guess, is it Iceland? Is it Paraguay? Is it Turkmenistan? Oh gosh, is it America? Hi guys, I just got banned from the United Kingdom.
That's crazy, man.
Not joking. Not
that is
exaggerating.
crazy,
I just got back
bro.
from the airport,
Objectively,
and I was going to get on a flight to go to London, and they said, "I'm sorry, sir, there's a problem." I said, "What's the problem?" They said, "You've been banned from the United Kingdom."
bro.
So that just happened. This is
Tell
what I
me
was going to.
how is tell me how this is possible. They ban a Western journalist from entering the UK. At the same time, they're importing Muslims from the Middle East. At the same time, they have criminals rowing across the English Channel in dinghies. Those people, they will set them up into a five-star hotel. But like, how, if you're an American citizen, though, oh, we can't have you here, sir. You're too dangerous. You're like, meanwhile, all their women are being raped by Middle Easterners. Like, how does like, bro, they're not long for this earth. They're not long for this earth. This is incredible. Like, how do you ban American citizens and import third world? It's just, it blows
Airport
my
in.
mind.
And they said that the British government has rejected my visa. They did not give an explanation at that time, but we now have the explanation. It was in an article in Times of London, as butchered as that article was, and I'll explain to
That's
you
crazy.
why they say that they're banning me and why I'm apparently a danger to the public order. I didn't know I had that kind of power. It's interesting. I walk into the public and people go
I mean,
nuts.
man, we're like an occupied civilization. I mean, we may as well have just let the Germans take it all. I'd rather be speaking German right now than, I mean, if I had safety and a family and like, if I was living in a real European civilization, not one that's being destroyed and stomped on.
Apparently. And what horrific criticism of the British government did I have? They said, oh, no, no, he didn't criticize the British government. You'll never guess which government's criticism got me banned from the United Kingdom. You'll never guess it. I mean, you
Oh
could
yeah,
take
I
days trying
bet.
to guess. Is it Iceland? Is it Paraguay? Is it Turkmenistan? Oh, gosh. Is it America? Is it Russia? Is it the UK? No, no, no. Oh, you guys already figured it out that it's Israel? Yes. I know it's shocking, but you are correct. I got banned from the UK, not for criticizing the UK, but for criticizing Israel. And so I'm going to show you exactly what they said and break it down for you because it is beyond absurd. So, and it feels weird, guys, honestly, like they literally took my freedom away. And I'll tell you this,
That's absolutely
um,
what they did.
when I was at the airport and they told me, and they're like, sorry, sir, you're not allowed to board the flight. You
No,
cannot travel
this is
to Great
just
Britain.
the start, man.
Um,
This is just the beginning. People being barred from going to the UK, bro. This should be scaring the shit out of people because all of a sudden we're being walled off from going to other parts of the West. This isn't good, man. That's how much power this little teeny shitty country, this little group of people has. They can literally lock down countries. Like what? This should scare the hell out of everybody, man, because this was never the case in America or the UK ever. This is what I'm talking about. Where if you if you object to what Israel is doing to the West, you're an anti-Semite. And it's like, at what point is the price too high to pay? At this point, call me an anti-Semite. I don't give a damn if it means I get to keep my country. If it means that I get to, you know what I mean? If it means that I get to be free, well, then I guess then I am one. I am, I guess, if that's the case. If those are the choices, watching my country be destroyed, watching the civilization be destroyed, going from the freest society, the greatest society ever created to this, to authoritarianism, you know, authoritarianism by Benjamin Netanyahu. It's like, bro, what are we working for anymore? What are we doing anything for? What's the point if they just control it all? I mean, seriously, I don't see like what we're just working and like working our lives, spending chunks of our lives to fund Israel so that they can oppress us. Like, what is the point, man? Sacrificing huge chunks of our lives so that Israel gets the tax dollars. They get, they're like we're enslaved basically by these people. They have us. It's it's an abstract form of slavery, but it is slavery. Like we don't even have a say anymore. We can't even say no. We don't want our tax dollars to go to them anymore. We're not allowed to. We're not allowed to peacefully protest against Israel anymore because you know what? They'll send out their assets, their Jew women, their Jewesses, and they'll cry in front of the cameras and say they want us dead, they want to kill us at a peaceful protest, and they'll get your protest destroyed. They'll get you thrown in jail too. All they have to do is cry and say that they feel like you're going to kill them or that you hate them or something. Like that propaganda shit comes right into play. They're killing and butchering Palestinians, and how dare those supposedly free people in America speak up against it? How dare they? Who told them they had freedom of speech? And then these people, they get thrown out of the country, or they get ostracized, blackballed. They have a thing on their permanent record so nobody will hire them. I mean, they will just pull out all the stops, man, because they can't let a movement like that get off the ground. They can't let a movement like that get off the ground. They know that once it hits like a terminal velocity, that their goose is cooked. And they're willing to kill to stop. Like Charlie Kirk, I know why he died, and I know who killed him too. It's pretty obvious at this point. It wasn't the week after, but after almost a year, it's pretty damned obvious who did it and why they did it. It's like anybody who, because Charlie Kirk, he could move the crowd. He could get people to go move or travel across the country to show up for something. So they had him dispatched. They had him liquidated. So, and it's like any one person that has that kind of power gets liquidated. Any group of people that has that kind of power, they get dispersed and crushed. They have their lives stripped away from them. And people still have the balls to say that it's a conspiracy theory that this country controls ours. How can you say it's a conspiracy theory when literally anytime anybody speaks out, they're silenced? They are straight up silenced immediately. It's like, it's obvious as all get out at this point. Like who can deny it? And every time, and anytime you see somebody talking about, conspiracy theories, the right and their conspiracy theories, it's like, like Ben Shapiro saying that, the right has a problem with its love for conspiracy theories. It's like, no, what you're really saying is the right has a problem with Israel. So then they immediately start shaming and dismissing, these are just anti-Semites. And the whole anti-Semite thing, they built that up, man. That's literally just a tool of brainwashing, a tool of propaganda to keep people in line, to make sure that we conform and that we lay down and just take it laying down. And that's what I was saying at the beginning is, those are our two choices. It's like either you get screwed laying down, or you get to be labeled an anti-Semite. It's like as simple as that. Those are your two choices. If you don't like what's going on and you speak out against it, you're an anti-Semite. And the other option is just watching it go down in flames.
It felt a little bit of a gut punch, and I'm surprised by that because it's kind of hard to shake me, right? But I think it's because I had a visceral reaction to having my freedom taken away. So I'm going to ask you guys
No, I
throughout the video,
haven't
what are we
watched
doing
that,
here?
Roxy.
This is crazy.
Stu
So
Peters.
now in Western governments, we're allowed to criticize Western governments. We're allowed to criticize our own government. We're allowed to criticize anything we like,
Except Israel.
the
Yep.
government of Israel.
Yep. Absolutely.
If you don't think that's insane, there's something wrong with you. You're not getting it. Like, do people in mainstream media think that's normal? Does our government think that's normal? Does the British? I guess the British government thinks it's normal because I have been banned and it has been rejected. Now I'll give you some of the details on how it happened too. But I'll tell you guys, we have been besieged. They say you're not allowed to say things that are actually happening. Well, am I allowed to say the UK banned me, or is that an anti-Semitic trope? But they did ban me. So this is really Kafka-esque. We're in some sort of alternate Alice
It
in
is,
Wonderland uh,
dude. It
place
is.
where the people in charge, both the government and the media, keep telling you things that are patently absurd. And then they say, if you don't accept the ludicrous things we're telling you, we're going to say you're a bigot and we're going to ban you and we're going to take your freedom away. What's going on here? So, yes, not just in this case, but in a thousand ways, the Young Turks have been besieged by people supporting Israel. So, but I love this community, and I want to thank all of you guys. Without your support, we don't exist.
Like, honestly, I'm so glad. I used to hate the Young Turks, but you know something? There's no other outlet, there's no other news outlet that openly fights them. You know, any other news outlet, I mean, breaking points they do, but they don't do it like they don't do it specifically. Like they don't say Jews or Israel. And I feel like honestly, we're the time is about to be on us where all of that shit is just dropped. All of the pretense and the posturing and the pretending, it's going to be dropped. Like, this is just what these people do, man. These Jays, this is just what they do. They're subversive and they want to enslave us. Like, that's their goal, obviously. It's like they can't help themselves. You know, and in the 109 countries, that's got to be that's definitely factual, man, because exactly what those countries complained about, that's exactly what we're going through. You know, well, we're considered crazy in our own country. That's how much, that's how much control they have. That anybody that wakes up to what the hell's happening is immediately crazy, a loon, buying into conspiracy theories. And they make and how they do it, one of the ways they do it is by making us seem crazy. We're just these low IQ anti-Semites. We're just this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? They make us seem like this, like we're just bigots or something. It's like, no, I like actively avoided this my entire life. Like the last thing I wanted was to be thought of as a low IQ anti-Semite. It's like and honestly, I'm starting to realize like the only people that, the people that they call low IQ anti-Semites, those people knew that they would be called low IQ anti-Semites and didn't want that, but they were given no other choice. It was either watch everything they love be destroyed, or stand up and speak out against it, and endure being called an anti-Semite.
The only reason we're here is because we got here on your shoulders, and I love you for it. And I love that they can't take your voice away, and that your contributions to us and all the people who are members and make this show possible. You guys are amazing. I thank you, and from the bottom of my heart. And no matter where I get banned, this will always be home. And so I always come back home to you guys, and I love you for it. So you all know we do the show and we have fun during the show, even in disastrous times. Live Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock. We do it for 2 hours every day. We try our hardest to give you the actual news, and we've taken criticism from our own side, from the other side, from the middle, from everyone, for giving you uncomfortable truths. But it's always backed up by the facts. And in fact, in this case, as you'll see, the things that they charged me with are literally not true. And they have literally banned me for saying things that are factual and indisputably correct. So it's amazing. But this is a lightness in that dark, and you guys provide that light. And so and you give me the strength to fight back. And am I going to fight back against this? Of course. Am I permanently banned from Britain? Has somebody said online, am I an enemy of the crown, an enemy of the state, but of a different state? It's Kafka would be right now, if he was around the whole time to this day, he'd be going, told ya. Okay, so apparently this kind of absurdity exists in the world. So let's get into it. And I normally do shout outs for folks who join through the join button and etc. and the super chats. It's kind of a unique situation. I've never done this before when I'm just got banned from a country. I so I'll tell you why I was going there.
Well, and I agree with you there, David, about the Shylock, the Merchant of Venice. Yeah, I was the same way with TYT, but you know, what's crazy is when you start to become red pilled, and I mean that like literally as in like the Matrix, you know, you pull that fucking thing out of the back of your head, and all of a sudden it's like the scales fall away from your eyes and you see the people who have actually identified what the real problem is we're dealing with. And even though I don't agree with everything that Shank believes or that he advocates for, you know, what I do agree with him on is the most important stuff. And what I don't agree with him on is kind of superfluous stuff. It's like, you know, carried income or carried interest tax loophole or whatever it is, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, that stuff is so menial and insignificant. Meanwhile, the people that I do agree with on that stuff, they're just like, they bought into the whole Israel first thing whole hog.
And then I give you their reasons for banning me. Um, I was going there for South by Southwest London. I was going to be on a couple of panels. By the way, having nothing to do with Israel. And then I was going to give a speech at a place for art and culture. So at Oxford, we certainly would have talked about war, and I'm sure the issue of Israel would have come up. And I was set to give a speech at Oxford Speaks, and then Hassan, my nephew Hassan Piker, and I were going to do a joint appearance at Oxford Union on Saturday night. But so we don't know what the status of that is because we don't know how long we're banned and how long the ban will last, and who else will get banned. I mean, if
I'm
you're
willing to bet that they're just banned indefinitely. You know, maybe the ban will get. I doubt the ban will ever be lifted. You know, when this kind of stuff happens, it's like they've deemed you as an incorrigible or a you know, they're not going to let him back. They're not going to let him in. Like that's for sure. He's on their shit list now. He's not coming in. And I don't see him ever coming off that list. Honestly, I don't see it happening. And people are going to totally just dismiss this. They won't, oh, who are you? This is just Cenk Uygur. He's this scumbag, blah, blah, blah. Not realizing that, no, and there's a reason why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. There's a reason why, you know, censorship is like a marker of bad things to come. And somehow people don't see this as censorship. Really? This is true censorship. Real consequences for things this guy said. He's not violent. He's not dangerous whatsoever. Nobody could say that he is. The guy is not, he's like a teddy bear. He's not a violent, dangerous person, but he's being censored. They're not allowing him to travel freely. You know, that's not good, man. That's not because the UK government, the British government is so benevolent and he's so evil. I would say it's more like the opposite.
People for criticizing Israel, you'll have to ban literally billions of people across the world.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration. That's literal. If you're, and 60% of Americans are critical of Israel. Should none of us travel to the UK, or is our visas going to get pulled? And let me give you a detail on that. That's important. So, I already had a visa to Britain because we were there last year. And similar thing, I was on Piers Morgan. I'll be
Wow.
on Piers Morgan tomorrow morning too, and spoke at Oxford and did a bunch of media there, right? And so
Man.
that last 2 years, so it's going to run out in March of next year. And so I had no reason to believe that there was any issues at all. So I go to the airport, and apparently the Home Office, as it's called in the UK, actively went in and pulled my visa
Wow.
and said, no, 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 he's such a threat to the public order
Wow.
that we're going to have to take these extraordinary measures. So because apparently if I come into the UK, you guys are all going to go nuts. Like the minute I step off the plane
That's
and in
crazy.
or off the tube and I'm in the middle of London, the place is going to go haywire. Apparently, threat to the public order.
And this is
Really,
just the beginning.
really. And they say things like,
You know, this is just the beginning, man. This is how this stuff starts, dude. We're like the name of the stream is, man, en route to nowhere, en route to dystopia. That's what's going on here. You know, we've just had a course correction. You know, we were going to a place that, you know, the golden age or you know, a place of progress or a place where human beings were happy. No, not anymore. We're going to a dystopia. I mean, and I don't. It seems like the as Israel loses and as their machinations fail, the worse it gets. I feel like because they can't beat Iran, all of a sudden they're turning into it's turning into insanity what they're doing.
With a straight face. Amazing. So, okay. Um, real quick, Happy Warrior writes in goals. How do I stand up to Israel strong enough to start getting banned from countries? It's a badge of honor, mate. Wear it like one. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And I'm a happy warrior too. So earlier when it happened a couple hours ago at the airport, like I said, it felt like a gut punch because I never. It's like, imagine being shunned from a whole country
Seriously.
and for fighting against the genocide. They're like, "How dare you?" Now, by the way, I was set to debate someone who supports Israel, who I would argue is pro genocide, and I'm sure he wouldn't
Right. And
argue.
it's like, did they ban the guy who's pro Israel? You know, it's like the West is supposed to be based on freedom of speech and debate and the meritocracy of ideas. Well, they won't even let they won't even let this side of the debate speak its piece. That's scary. That's so scary, man. That the West, this is where the West is at. Like, this is crazy, dude. I mean, this is like Soviet style stuff. You know, and yeah, they've managed to maintain their bullshit little democracy and capitalism veneer, but man, we're just being crushed underfoot, man. Straight up being crushed underfoot. In capitalism, it's like it's getting bad, man, to where we're being, like I said before, as white men are demoralized and pushed out of the labor force, bro, everyone that gets pushed out of the labor force, they're going to bring two Indians in behind him. Like, man, I feel like European men, we're just getting stomped out of existence here, like we're being denied the pursuit of happiness. And it's not, when I was 18, it was like a small portion of us were being denied it. Now it's all white men are just being denied the pursuit of happiness. And our education system is trash. And what's crazy is I was thinking about I seen a thing that was talking about how bad education has gotten. And I was thinking it could, how bad, like when I was in school, AP was still college level work. The AP courses, advanced placement courses were still college level. Well, I look at the graph, literally the year I graduated is the last year that it was that way. And every year since I graduated has been a steep ass decline. And it kind of hits me how long ago that really was. It's coming up on 20 years here in a year or two, couple years, 20 years, man. And it's just the wheels are falling off the damn car here. It's incredible. How do we go from having like the best education system in the world to having, like, it's hard to even say it's an education system. It's more just like daycare. So mommy and daddy can go to work all day. To do what? I don't know. To what they're working for, not sure.
That's why we're going to have a debate. And he's allowed into the country. Being in favor of Israel's genocide and endless wars, totally fine,
Of
great. Oh,
course,
slaughtering 23,000 Palestinian kids. You like that? You support that? No problem. No problem. Come on in. You're welcome in Britain at all times, mate. Right?
mate.
Oh, you're against it.
Well, what bothers me too is if everybody understood what was happening and everybody understood what was coming, we could stop it. Everybody could just stay home from work and say, we're not doing it. We see what you're doing. We're not going to work anymore. And we just bring everything to a halt. It just come to a screeching halt. We win. No, they're doing it piece by piece, person. They're just cutting out a few people from the herd every year until when the majority figures it out, when all the automatons and all the average people figure it out, it will be too late. There won't be enough of them to make a stand. There won't be enough to bring things to a halt anymore. And I'm sure that's when the jackboot really presses down on our windpipe.
Genocide. You're against senseless slaughter of innocent civilians, whether it happened to Israel on October 7th or to the Palestinians in Gaza or to the Lebanese in Lebanon right now, let alone the Iranians, let alone the 7 other countries that Israel's attacked. But I don't know if I'm allowed to share facts with you guys. Oh my God. What if this is broadcast in the United Kingdom, which by the way it is? Are you going to be banned from listening to facts? Now, they can't disprove these facts. These are all true, but they can ban you from saying them. They can ban you from entering the country.
They do.
Who's in charge here? If you don't think that's a legitimate question, if you think that's like an
Absolutely.
anti-Semitic question, well, brother, I didn't ban me.
Right? How can anybody say who or try to pretend that these people are not in charge? You can say anything in the world you want to say, but as soon as you talk about them, that's when doors start closing. No, at street asking people to read index cards. Oh, in school. Yeah, I have seen that. The black kids. Oh my God. Words like silhouette. They're like stumped. Oh, how do you a suit? Does it say suit? No. It is crazy. Like our education system is crumbling. It's like terrible. It's terrible. And like the way everything is sort of just falling apart, all like almost like on as if it were on cue. I don't believe that this is just happening, or this is just, something that, like, this was specifically brought into play. Like, all this stuff is happening for a reason. It's, we went from being the number one society, really cohesive, everybody gets along, right and left get along, to all of a sudden to the point where people won't even speak to each other. The right or the left won't even work with the right. Like AOC denies Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, I'm not working with you. Even though I'm not working with you to save our country. Our country isn't as important as my reputation. Our country isn't as important as passing this purity test. It's like, well, I mean, and she's not a real American. She don't give a damn about America or Americans. She thinks we're just Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we're just disgusting people. It's like, yeah, well, these disgusting people created the country that your shitty ass family was desperate to get to. You filthy little half Indian bitch. And it's like, it pisses me off. The people that built the great country that you thought was so great, somehow it just blows my mind. Like, the people that built the stuff that you think is so great, those people are evil. Meanwhile, the people who built nothing, your people, they're good, they're honest, this and that. Okay. Well, these people, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Keep on oppressing us, keep on stomping on us. Go ahead and just cut us out of reality altogether. Cut us out of the gene pool, and we'll see how well you fare. We'll see how long the skyscrapers stay up in the air.
For disagreeing with Israel, you banned me for disagreeing with Israel, and you're not Israel. So if you say that's not incredibly strange, there's something off with you. The people in power have always pretended that they're the wise men, that we are the official, legitimate, smart, educated people. And these are how things ought to be, right? And you rascals, outsiders criticizing governments that you're not allowed to criticize, you're all ruffians and barbarians. Yeah, okay, that's fine, but we're on to you now. We can see you. I don't know if you know that, but the curtain's been pulled back. And when I say we can see you, by you I mean the establishment in America. That's what I largely talk about, but apparently in the United Kingdom as well. So we can see Gaza, right? We know what happened. We have eyes. You all pretending that Israel's the victims? It makes you sound insane to the rest of us. And before, you gaslit us to oblivion. And
the thing is, though, Cenk, you were a part of that group that you're talking about. Oh, we're the wise men, we're the educated, blah, blah, blah. That was you a year ago, asshat. You were literally doing that same stuff to the people on the right. Now that you're on the receiving end of it, oh no. Bro, you've been calling us the low IQ. Overwhelmingly educated adults in America are Democrats. What is that supposed to mean? Is that supposed to make me think that think that Democrats are smart? Because it doesn't. That these people that get their ego gets so inflated over what? I don't know. They have no accomplishments to their names. Okay, they they convinced a teacher, or they did a dissertation. These people have no accomplishments to their names, but you'd think that they fucking discovered electricity or something.
Kept telling us we're the crazy ones, that the Palestinians were monsters for getting brutalized, for the ethnic cleansing in 48, for the surprise attack in 67, for the brutal, disgusting occupation for the last 58 years. And the Israelis have voted in their Knesset saying they will never free the Palestinians, but we're the bad guys for telling you those facts. And Israel and their supporters are the good guys for saying attaboy to the slaughter of over 76,000 people, 83%
Oh,
civilian kill ratio, the worst of any terrorist group in the world. So you're not going to get us all to stop talking about it. I get it. Outright oppression has begun. We have entered the era of oppression.
we have,
No more, hey, the propaganda, and we'll,
we
influence
have.
them, etc. And we'll get our dogs in media to bark in our direction and say we're doing self-defense.
Hmm.
And the people we slaughtered are the terrorists, and they had it coming, and they made us kill their children, as Golda Meir said. No, it's propaganda, and we can see the obvious, brazen, overwhelming propaganda. And you're not going to get all of us to shut up. All right, so let's get into
No,
their
no,
theoretical
they're not.
reasons for banning me. Times of London, which apparently is a rag. I didn't know that. Just this
A
was a
rag.
total trash article. Let me give you the. Let me see if I can find the author here, so that they deserve the discredit that
And I
they
see
get the
seen
discredit
it.
that they deserve. Okay, I can't find it for now. But so they say left-wing YouTube pundit Cenk Uygur banned from entering UK. Turkish American, I don't know why it's relevant that I'm Turkish American, but okay. Booked to appear at South by Southwest London. His travel authorization revoked by Shabana Mahmood.
He
They always get a
looks
Muslim to do the dirty work, right? Like, okay, go, go, go. Yeah, ban them for Israel. We got a Muslim to do it. Doesn't count. No, it counts. Man, I don't know her and I don't care about her. And you hiding behind that civilian isn't going to help you at all. After concern over comments about Israel and grooming gangs. So they just say it. It's yeah, you made comments about Israel and you're banned. The grooming gangs is hilarious. Not the gangs themselves, but their description of why they're banning me because of the grooming gangs. So we're going to get to it in a
okay.
sec.
What bullshit?
So they say Shabana Mahmood has banned a left-wing firebrand from the UK due to fears he could fuel anti-Semitism and his denial of the existence of grooming gangs. But it wasn't about anti-Semitism; it was about Israel. So that part is false, and you'll see it for yourself in a second. And his denial of the existence of grooming gangs. I didn't deny that they exist. You
Right?
just made that up.
That's
You can go
ridiculous.
back and watch the Piers Morgan appearance. I don't know. Piers had me on to mainly talk about UK stuff that I barely know about, right? Sometimes people ask me, like, oh, what do you think about Turkish politics? I don't know. I don't think anything about Turkish politics. I don't know anything about it. I'm an American. I don't know. I have no obligation to
Seriously.
know the minutia of Turkish or British politics or news, etc. But anyways, I was saying that it was being overhyped as a distraction. And like, hey, you're worried about young kids being abused. This news event was all publicized about the grooming gangs right in the middle of the Epstein files. I'm concerned. I'm deeply concerned whether it's a grooming gang or the grooming gang known as the Epstein class are going after kids. And I don't care if they're Muslim or Jewish or Christian.
Right?
I want both of them to be prosecuted. Meanwhile, some folks are like, no, only the grooming gangs, only talk about the Muslims. Okay. And so I didn't deny them. That is 100% not factual. And you can check the tape on Piers Morgan show. There's no question about it. And so wait,
I'm so like, I'm over the Muslim thing and blaming Muslims. And honestly, it pisses me off. Not because I love Muslims, it pisses me off because it's all just misdirection. Let's get you to hate people that haven't done anything. Get you to hate people that are innocent. Although, I know that, Europe is different, but like making us hate it's like this is what I'm starting to feel like. Europe, we had things going so well for ourselves that they couldn't get us to do anything. We won World War II. We're strong and we have a great defense. You can't order us around. You can't jerk America around and get them to do whatever you want. So they just work to undermine that. Like, I think, Israel, they got all those migrants to flood Europe because they need us to be discontented. They need us to want change. When everything is going great and we're we have a cohesive society, a white society, a European society. I think they just found it really difficult to steal from us and to take advantage of us. So it's like they have to flip over the apple cart and get us pissed off about stuff. So they did 9/11 and shit. Like, how can we get this giant to wake up from its slumber? Kind of like what Pearl Harbor did. It's like you can't get you can't get white people to do what you want unless, you know, unless you ruin their society or disrupt it. I mean, that's how it feels to me. Like we were just doing too good, and that doesn't work for whoever's in charge or the globalists. It doesn't work for them because then they, you know, they can't extract resources out of you. They can't get you to go die for them in their bullshit country.
All right. Well, I'll give you the details of what they said about that, and then we'll talk about what you're allowed to say and not allowed to say. Apparently, in a very normal political debate in the UK. Okay, we'll find out because this isn't just about my freedom, guys. This is about your freedom. Now, if you say these things, Britain can ban you. If you're in the UK, but if
Scary.
you're a citizen or you
That's
have a legal
scary, man.
visa and you say things critical of Israel, and then you leave the UK for a trip, and then you come back, will they ban you? Who's
Right?
allowed to criticize Israel and who's not allowed to criticize Israel? How are we allowed to criticize Israel and how are we not allowed to criticize Israel? Those are questions the British government must answer. Otherwise, none of us have our freedom. We have no idea what the rules are. I mean, at this point, I mean, if they don't reverse this ban, you'd be crazy to travel to Britain.
Yeah.
Our plans are totally ruined.
That pisses me off
My
too,
family
because I
was in
wanted to go there
captivity,
before I died.
and now we can't do that. And they did it. We didn't know until we got to the airport. So you could be going to the UK, and then they go, "Oh, sorry. Now we checked your social media. You criticized Israel. You're banned. Okay, and now all your plans are ruined." Who's going to travel to an oppressive, authoritarian country like that? Oh, I'm sorry. Have I criticized you? Oh no, I'm allowed to criticize you. So that's no problem at all. That's not anti-British. That's not racist against the British. I can criticize the British government all I want and the American government all I want. There's just one government I can't criticize, but they say if you notice that, now you're doubly guilty. Well, how can I not notice it? I couldn't get on the flight, and so it's pretty hard for me not to notice it. So, like I told you, I was really bummed about it
True.
earlier, but now it's so Alice in Wonderland, so Kafkaesque
It's
that I
scary.
can't help but laugh about it. This is insanity. And you think you're going to be able to keep the Young Turks or TYT or me or anyone else? Oh, and then Hassan got banned too. I texted him and I said, because he's going to go a little bit after me, and I'm like, are are you okay? Do you still have your visa? And he's like, no, I have a pre-approved visa. I'm like, yeah, so did I. And then he looked it up. He's like, oh, I'm banned too. So who else is banned? This is insane. What are the standards? So, but you're not going to be able to stop us. This goes into the UK. And even if you banned us from the UK, whether it's a physical or the show, the next show.
You know, and all the propaganda after World War II, it was literally to brainwash us into thinking Israel and Jews are always the victim. And you know, I'm starting to feel like the way that it seems to me is the people that are low IQ anti-Semites are just the people that have seen their evil machinations in person, that have seen it with their own eyes. And all of the other moron stoops, they're the people that haven't seen it haven't seen it. You know, it's like, does something really happen if you never saw it? You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to write people off as just cuckoo, they're crazy, they're bigots, when you don't see what's freaking them out or what's bothering them. Then they just look like rabid nutcases. You know, like that's how it seems. So it's like, you know, it's the people who have seen what's happening fighting against the people who are still in the dark, and they're really good at, you know, putting a veneer over things and spinning it just enough to where it's believable. Although I seen a post today that was saying we can't deal with Hamas. Or it's Bill Clinton said, you know, I offered the Palestinians a 97% of 97% of the West Bank and blah blah blah, and they would have had their own country, but they didn't want it. All they wanted to do was kill Jews. It's like, really, how convenient. How convenient. The group of people that Israel wants above all others gone. The group of people that was living on the land that Israel took, they don't want to live, you see. They don't want a country, you see. They don't want to raise their children, you see. They just want to kill Jews. How convenient. How convenient for them. That they're dealing with the only human beings on the planet who aren't humans at all. They're like demons. They're like animals that just want kill. Not even animals kill just to kill. I don't think I mean, maybe psychopaths do that for satisfaction or something. But the fact that that's That's their best propaganda is, oh yeah, these people, they don't want it. They don't want their own country. They just want to kill us. It's like, how does anybody believe that bullshit? How does anybody believe that? And it's like, and when I think about, like, I don't know how I didn't see it before, but it's like nobody actually stops to think when they hear that, oh, they just want to kill Jews. And it's like, when you think to yourself, have you ever met another human being that was so obsessed with something else, like other people, that they just wanted, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of absurd. It's like human beings don't live to hurt other people. Like, they don't do that. That's not rational. But because nobody ever raises this question, nobody ever pokes a hole, because they have media locked down so well, especially mainstream, nobody ever says, you know how absurd that sounds? Like, honestly, do you know how absurd that sounds? Even Nazis, more or less, just wanted to raise their families and live their lives. Even the worst people you can think of didn't want, their entire life wasn't just about killing another group. It's ridiculous.
Going to come and the next show is going to come, and if you buy off platforms, then the next platform is going to come, and then one after that. We're never going to stop telling the truth. We're not saying anything outrageous. We're the ones saying no violence. We're the ones saying peace.
Yeah.
We're the ones saying treat everyone equally. We're the ones saying let's get to justice. Where's the crime in that? You guys are the ones saying, no, you're not allowed to criticize a genocide. You have to accept this barbarism. You have to accept this terrorism.
And if what they were saying about the genocide and stuff, if it was just malarkey, just a bunch of horse feathers, they would let them say it all they want. Absolutely. Why would they disturb the image of the land of free speech if they didn't have to? Right? Why would they cast doubt into people's minds that we live in a free society with freedom of speech if they didn't have to? They're cracking down and censoring and limiting travel and stuff, not because people are lying, it's because people are telling the truth. We've had people spewing bullshit since the beginning of this country. Nobody ever shuts them up because most of the time, I'm sure a lot of the time, it was just bullshit. But right now, like, they would not be up in arms about what Cenk is saying if it wasn't the facts. If it wasn't facts, like, they wouldn't be, the Gaza wouldn't still be off limits. They wouldn't be shooting journalists. Israel wouldn't be shooting journalists if they had nothing to tell. And the people that go along with this, it's just like, man, like they don't want to know any different. It's like they don't want to find out because then they might have to join the low IQ anti-Semites. People, ignorance is bliss, as they say. Why would anybody want to wake up to a lot of this stuff? And then they'd have to do something about it.
And you have to fund it. No. We're not the crazy ones. You and the establishment, you're the crazy ones. And now we can all see it with our own eyes. You guys are ludicrous. You think we're going to all accept this and we're going to bow our heads and go, okay, we all bow to the king. Who's the new king of England? Apparently Israel. Okay. So who can you not criticize? You can't criticize the king, right? That's the gravest offense. But apparently I can't criticize the king. I can't criticize the UK. I just can't criticize the actual king. Wait, is that anti-Semitic?
That's
You just did it. You just did it. Are you going to say that it's anti-Semitic to report the thing you just did? Banning me
no shit, they will.
The most powerful thing in the UK apparently is Israel, because that's the one thing you can't criticize, just like in the old days when you couldn't criticize the king. Amazing that we live in these times. Okay, so that was the general statement. Now let's get into the specifics. The Times has been told that Uyghur's electronic travel authorization (ETA) was canceled last week after the. By the way, they didn't tell me that. After the Home Secretary concluded his presence in the UK would not be, quote, conducive to the public good. ETAs enable.
What difference does that make? We used to live in the West where there was free speech. It didn't matter if somebody was saying something that was bad for the public to hear. And that isn't bad for the public to hear. It's bad for Israel for the public to hear that. And it's just crazy that we now live, like, I can't believe that we live in a society, in a civilization that's doing this stuff now. and they actually think they're going to get away with it. Like, and I feel like to myself, like Laura Loomer and all these people, I'm like, you're not on your way to the promised land. You're on your way to being totally cut out of the gene pool. That's that, like, honestly, you're not just pissing off a country now. You're not just pissing off one ethnic group. You're pissing off the human species. And if everybody collectively says it's time for you to end, what are you gonna be able to stop that? Are you gonna be able to propagandize your way out of that?
To 6 months without a visa. I am not conducive to the public good. By the way, I'm public now. There are thousands of people watching, and later there'll be hundreds of thousands of people watching. Boo! Is the public good now totally in disarray? Have you all melted? Like, oh my God, Cenk Uygur has entered the building, and the public good has turned into mayhem. They say this stuff with a straight face.
It's
I
incredible.
mean, and when they wrote it down, they didn't think it was ludicrous.
It is
Okay.
incredible.
Happy Warrior, thank you for gifting 5 Young Turks memberships. We'll take anything and everything, guys. We are besieged. So thank you for supporting us. We appreciate it. Just like every little bit helps. Ring the bell, follow the show. I mean,
I mean,
sometimes
how many in the chat? How many of you guys thought that Cenk Uygur would be kind of like a champion? Like, I feel like him and Anna, they're kind of our champion at this point. Them two, Nick. It's a small group, man. It is a small group of people that are out there sticking and moving on our behalf. And if there's like so few of them, you take them where you can get them. Take them as they come too. I mean, in the fact, and like I started to admire Anna, as I've said, and Cenk, because not only are they fighting, and not only are they screaming from the mountaintops, hey, look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. They're doing it full throated too. They're not holding back. They're swinging wild. Like and I admire that. While all these other scumbag journalists, all these other CIA outlets, these CIA mouthpieces like CNN, bro, they would happily sell us up the river for money, for a few bucks or whatever from Israel.
you get lost in the algorithm. So make sure that you're following us so you don't somehow have it, taken away from you. I'm not saying anything about any platforms in particular. I'm just saying make sure that you're following the shows that you love, whether it's us or anyone else, and don't let anybody get in between you and them. Okay? Because if they shut down our voice and the voice of others that are speaking out and that are brave, well, then we'll have nothing left. We'll have nothing left but these Orwellian creatures saying absurd things about all of us. All right, so
point.
They say Lord Huchin of High Leven. Am I allowed to be amused by that? Like, all right. Anyways, okay. I guess that's a thing in Britain that's impressive. The mayor of Tees Valley said the Home Office has barred people for less, and I'd urge ministers to act. I mean, you got to act. I mean, what if I was saying this stuff in London? I mean, again, mayhem, obviously. You must act immediately.
What's up, guys? As you can
Israel
see,
again. Okay, I'm sorry, I did a British accent there. Is that? Oh, no. Again, I could criticize Britain all I like. It doesn't matter at all.
Right?
There's only one thing. Okay, here we go. The decision to block Uygur from traveling to the UK is understood to have been based on several grounds, including
Israel.
fears that his presence would risk exasperating anti-Semitism due to his rhetoric since the October 7th attacks in 2023.
Indeed.
Wait, what rhetoric since the October 7th attacks? After the October 7th attacks, I was outraged. You can go back and watch the tapes. So I thought it was a terrible thing to do. We were all
outraged. Nobody likes seeing people get butchered like that. Nobody liked that. It wasn't cool. Nobody was enthusiastic or celebrating it. But flip side of that, though, Israelis are enthusiastic and celebrate butchering the other side. That is sickening.
nonviolence and nonviolence on all sides. We're for peace for all sides. And I talked about the 36 kids killed and what an outrage it was. So I'm outraged by the 36 kids getting killed. They're outraged by it. Great, wonderful. Although apparently they're lying about what I've said. I don't know if they were making a reference to October 7th overall, but or everything I have said since then. I mean, sight unseen, voice unheard. Every single thing since then is apparently an outrage and and a threat to the public good. So, okay, so we're all outraged by the 36 kids who needlessly died in Israel. 23,000 have died in Gaza. Are you outraged by that? No, apparently not. They're like, oh, you could be in favor of that, and we'll roll out the red carpet for you in the UK. But if you're opposed to that, no, you must only like the kids of Israel. if you also care about the kids of Palestine or Lebanon or any of the other neighbors,
You're awful.
what is that anti-Semitic? Is it anti-Semitic to care about the lives of Palestinian children? How
Looks
can the
like it.
United Kingdom live with this kind of absurdity? What are you guys allowed to say anything in your own country, or are you also in essence hostages here? I'm in essence a hostage. I can't leave the country. I mean, and then I'm worried about
Crazy.
my country taking me back in because again, the only grave
I've
offense
just
is
been for my
criticizing
12
one
week
country,
scan. The
Papua New
iPad
Guinea.
taken there, 12 inches.
Same exact size, guys, in population. If we were all banned for criticizing Papua New Guinea, everyone would know how insane and absurd that is. But when you put in Israel, they go, yeah, that makes sense. Yep, 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 yep. You guys should be banned. Okay. So, all right. So, everything I've said since October 7th, this has included repeating classic anti Semitic tropes, such as the claim that Israel controls America. Okay.
It's
Now,
pretty
first of all,
obvious
it's
that
about
they're
Israel.
in control because they're the only people you can't speak out against. You peacefully protest against Israel, and a bunch of Jewish women jump in front of the camera and scream and wail. They're they want us dead. They want to kill us. And it's just so tiresome, man. Can we just have our country back, please? Like, what the hell, man? The bane of our existence.
So, it's not anything I said about Jewish people because I've never said anything bad about Jewish people because I don't believe that.
Did that even
because
did that save you though, Shank? Did that save you? Maybe the mask needs to come off. Maybe we just need to start being honest about it and saying, it's not just Israel. It's not just Israel.
I don't say anti-Semitic things because I'm not anti-Semitic. And by the way, that drives them crazy.
Maybe that's the
They
problem,
want
bro.
an excuse, but they couldn't come up with one. So they had to say, well, you're anti-Semitic for criticizing Israel. Well, then billions of people are anti-Semitic by that standard. It's
Yeah, we
ludicrous.
are.
Okay, but hold
They
on.
are.
They say, so what's the trope? He falsely claimed on his podcast in July last year that the Israeli lobby gave more to Congress than any other. That's true. That's not false. So overall, in the last 10, 20 years, the largest donor historically has been Big Pharma. And we've said that on the Young Turks, I don't know, literally hundreds of times. There are huge lobbies in America where our number one issue is not Israel. Our number one issue is getting money out of politics because that money in politics corrupts the government on every front. So, yeah, 94% of Congress gets money from the Israeli lobby. And then, of course, they do what the lobby wants because the lobby has given them hundreds of millions of dollars collectively. So,
And what's crazy is they think that because they've bought our politicians, that they've bought us. Like, they're thinking to themselves, like, how are these people speaking out against us? Like, we bought their politicians. Like, how are they allowed to do that now? Like now all of a sudden, freedom of speech and democracy and in the free society, now that's got to go, you see, because it's not working on Israel's behalf. It was all good and well. They were down to let things go, sleeping dogs lie. Well, and as long as they were getting away with their butchery.
But our press, including let alone our government, tells us absurd things like, no, when the big pharmaceutical companies give hundreds of millions of dollars, that they don't control Congress in terms of drug policy. Well, of course they do. When big oil gets $35 billion in subsidies, that they don't control Congress? Of course they do. Why else did we give them a free gift of $35 billion every single year? They're the most profitable companies in the world. Why do you have to rob from the average American to give to ExxonMobil and Chevron? But don't worry, that will not get you banned. The only one that gets you banned is if you accurately report what AIPAC and the Israeli lobby has actually done. So I guess any of us who are in the actual news business, not like fake reporters who do Israeli propaganda for a living, but reporting actual news, actual numbers. Apparently you're all anti-Semites and the numbers themselves are anti-Semitic and the facts are anti-Semitic and you'll all be banned. I don't know if facts will be banned from the United Kingdom.
And they always say, oh, the society was struggling or whatever, and so they blamed it on Jews. Well, to be honest, I see everything crashing about mine own ears at this point. And, this seems to be all roads lead to Rome, as they say, all roads go back to Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? Like, if maybe they should stop rubbing it in and being so in your face about things. It's ridiculous. And honestly, imagine if the iPhone had never happened, or if we never made that next step from or made that next step to compute, iPhones where you could get on the internet on your phone and there was social media, they would be doing their evil business just like business as usual, and they would be getting away with it. All of a sudden, now we're connected with each other. Now we have a way around mainstream media, and all of a sudden laws start changing, censorship starts getting pushed, people start being denied entry into the UK from America. Yeah, it's no coincidence that this only just started in the last 20 years. They had everything down to a science. And then the iPhone comes along and throws a monkey wrench in it. And that's what this whole last 20 years has been, them trying to figure out how to get control back.
Maybe that's next. So, in terms of uh, them being the number one donor, the Israeli lobby, yeah, in the last election cycle, and I clarify that every time, so they could go up, look it up, and see. I say, yeah, in the last
Come
election
on,
cycle,
Shank.
the Israeli lobby was the number one group. Now, normally it's Big Pharma, but right now, since Israel's embroiled in so much controversy and so many things that are going on, APAC and the rest of the Israeli lobby, understandably, is pouring in tons of money to what I call legally bribing our politicians. And by the way, if you're going to arrest me for that or ban me for that, Elizabeth Warren has called it the same thing, and many others have as well. So, are we going to be banned next for criticizing money in politics or criticizing Chevron or Pfizer? What level of oppression and absurdity are we going to get to? Or is it that you can criticize all those people? The only lobby you can't criticize is the Israeli lobby, even if you're 100% factual. Okay. So then tell me that they're not in charge. Then on top of that, you tell me if you notice those things and you report those things accurately, then for the crime of being a reporter, you will be banned and labeled an anti-Semite. Will I have to wear a scarlet A for anti-Semite around?
Bro,
And by the way,
why do
that's what
you
they love
care
doing.
anymore?
They love
Just
putting
say,
that,
okay, this word doesn't matter.
scarlet A.
Just say, okay, this word doesn't matter anymore. Because that's what it's got to now. It's like, bro, they draw it like a gun. I mean, if you even look at their direction and raise an eyebrow, you're an anti-Semite. It's like, well, maybe it's time for people like you to start openly saying, okay, fine, then I am. Fine, we all are. Tucker Carlson come out and say, just say, yeah, I guess we are then. If having a problem with watching your civilization, your society being hollowed out from the inside, from your people being made dumber because they've destroyed it, at what point do we finally say we've had enough? Have we gotten there yet? Or are we going to still continue to pretend
on you and going, that's it, you're banned, you're canceled, no one should ever listen to them? And look at that, oh, we just canceled every critic of Israel. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. And both the US government and now the UK government and the press. I mean, look at the Times of London coverage. It's absurd. I'll get to more of it right now. So they say, okay, so they claim that I falsely claimed that the Israeli lobby gave more money to Congress than any other. They are wrong. I am correct, and anyone can look it up. In the last election cycle, that was the number one lobby. And by the way, they do tricks like, oh, the lobby only gave this or that. No, we're talking about the contributions of that lobby to the members of Congress through many different ways, independent expenditures, direct contributions. And so we're not just talking about the money they spent in lobbying itself. We're also talking about the campaign contributions. And that is how it's discussed in America in every single case, in the case of every single lobby. So don't fall for their tricks. And unfortunately, a lot of mainstream media aids and abets them. They know exactly what we're talking about. They know, in fact, where did I get the numbers? I got it from mainstream media. They actually do report, yes, that was the number one lobby or the number one spending from that particular lobby. They gave the most to Congress in the last election cycle. Now, I've just repeated those facts 3 or 4 times to you guys. So I don't know if I get a year of a ban for each time I say a fact, but how the whole time Kafka is going to be thinking, I told you. And George Orwell and Kafka are high-fiving. We nailed the whole thing. Okay, so they say the decision of Bar Yuger from the UK was also based on exchanges with Piers Morgan on his YouTube channel, in which he dismissed evidence relating to grooming gangs in towns such as Rotherham. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. I don't know if I get banned for that. Where official inquiries have identified an estimated 1,400 victims and said concerns about the issue were Islamophobic. I almost never use the word Islamophobic, but if I did, it was because you guys were saying that they were making it seem like the only people who've ever raped anyone are these grooming gangs or these Muslims. Oh, watch out for the Muslims, right? No, watch out for the guys who rape anyone from any religion or any racial background.
It was like a week ago, somebody came in here and was trying to say, oh, what about the Muslims? You're talking about these other people. What about the Muslims? They're taking over this and that. What about Dearborn, Michigan? I'm like, yeah, bro, they're like 1% of the population of America, homeboy. Okay, they have one little small shit town in the middle of Michigan. That's supposed to scare me or something? Like, bro, they're hollowing us out from the inside out. The Muslims aren't the issue. They're like a symptom. Like you wonder why there are Muslims in Europe? Huh, well, it couldn't be that Israel is butchering them and just destroying their countries and chasing them out of the Middle East. That's why I say a lot of this, I think it has to do with, goring white people's oxes. You can't get anything done unless white people are discontented, unless, somebody has gored their ox. Once somebody gores our ox, we get pissed off and do something about it. And I'm like, and I was watching Snatch or Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels the other day. And it wasn't that long ago when that movie was made, and like England was like white people, the majority, and in the city even. Thinking to myself, like, man, how is it that in just this short amount of time, they've just totally basically destroyed Western culture, Western civilization? We're on the run. You know what I mean? Like in a couple of generations, there won't be any white people left. Like there won't. They're we're being it's like we're being destroyed, but it's this through this it's an underhanded uh tribalistic way that the Jays fight wars. They don't do it by fighting pitched battles. They destroy people from behind, or behind closed doors. Like these underground methods of destroying an entire civilization. I mean, and they played the game for a long time. Oh, we're the West, we're the Western foothold in the Middle East, this blah blah blah. And it's like they played that game, and they made sure that we agreed with them until they didn't need it anymore, and then they just turned their guns to us. We'll chase all these Arabs into Europe, and they'll take care. It'll be two birds with one stone. The Arabs will kill the Europeans, and then Europe will erupt into violence, and it will just disintegrate. And we'll try to do the same thing with America too. We'll see if we can do the same thing. Yes, we'll buy off their politicians, and we'll start getting foreigners' foot in the door. Get those politicians to start bringing over Indians by the bushel. It'll only take a generation or two before we totally destroy it. We'll convince women to go to work. That way, no babies get born.
So now when I ask for equality, is that unacceptable now in Britain? Can you not debate grooming gangs? And again, also, they are factually incorrect. I didn't say grooming gangs don't exist. They just made that up. So that's two things the British government has patently lied about and made up to make sure that they ban a critic of Israel.
They don't. They'll
So,
lie.
and on the issue of grooming
They
gangs,
don't
are you
care
allowed to
about
discuss it? Or
lying, man. It's like, he's wasting his breath talking about all that stuff, man. They did their work, bro. They took you out, man. They took you out. Talking about equality and all that stuff, bro, you ain't getting nowhere, man. You need to get serious, is what you need to do. Get serious. Start calling a spade, man. I mean, if we can't stand up and plainly identify what the hell's going on and who it is we have a truck with, then we're done, man. Like if we don't have the stones to take some to withstand anti-Semitism being, somebody, you anti-Semite, if we don't have the stones to endure that and keep moving forward, then that's it. And they're backing us into a corner, where at some point we're just going to have to accept that if we want to continue. We have to accept that, okay, we're going to have to let them call us this while we kick their ass. I mean, scumbag.
Lots of things being pushed out there, but he's focused, and in my view, he's following a
That
steady
was the one
course.
from last night.
But I
I wanted to see that one.
All right, outside the Oval Office, President Trump spent much of today.
You know, and I seen a thing the other day that was like calling out Gen Z, and it was talking about like if you're Gen Z and you like Nick Fuentes and this and that, and it was basically it was saying, you know, boomers they're into Mark Levin and Sean Hannity, and the Gen Z is into Nick Fuentes. And then all these people, and it's like almost like they can sway people by like they got all these Gen Zers to come out, you know, basically say, oh no, I like Sean Hannity and this and that. All they have to do is say, yeah, you're just one of those low IQ anti-Semites that watches Nick Fuentes, aren't you, you little Gen Z punk? No, that's not me. I want to die for Israel. Let me die for Israel.
Inside the Situation Room at the White House tonight, are we any closer
This
to
guy
a
is a
lasting
scum.
peace
He's
in the Middle East? He's now asking
an
every Middle
idiot.
Eastern country
Chicken
to
for
join the Abraham
KFC.
Accords, and the conditions for peace with Iran have never, will never change. The president put it on Truth Social. Iran must agree they will never have a nuclear weapon. The Strait of Hormuz must be open immediately, no tolls at all, unrestricted shipping traffic in both directions, and all mines have to be removed from the strait as well. The enriched uranium left behind after strikes on Iran last year must be collected by the U.S. and it will be destroyed. He has not changed his position. Here with expert analysis, the great one. He's also the host of Life, Liberty, and Levin. And
like I said, this guy is legitimately the mouthpiece of America. That's Mark Levin is our mouthpiece, man. This guy speaks. What he says goes, man. Whatever this guy says, that's our policy. It doesn't even matter if he's early. You know, if Trump says one thing and then Levin comes out and says the opposite, okay, for that second, we might still be going with what Trump says. But as soon as Trump comes back out, oh, no, actually, we're doing what Mark Levin said we're doing. Bro. Really? Like, man, it's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, Sean Hannity's scum, man. These people are scum. And I don't believe that they don't understand what's going on. They do understand what's going on. They're just scum, dude. They don't care about their own people. You know, it's like everybody has just like this is a lot of this has to do with capitalism. Capitalism atomizes people. It makes it where people don't have like really strong family ties and strong ties to their community where you know like and I was watching something about Patrick Bet-David last night and it occurred to me that's like you know we're so modern that we don't do the strong community tie thing anymore. And like that's like a mark of a country or a people's becoming modern, technologically advanced is they stop caring about their family. It's all about them and what they're doing. And you know what I mean? Like their family is their brother's struggling and they don't help them. They just, you know, and I used to be kind of proud of that. Yeah, we're all independent, this and that. But no, it just makes us easy to destroy. We don't stick together at all. I mean, and it's obvious. You go to jail or a prison. The only people that don't stick together, white people. White people. We're the only ones that are too smart for that, I guess. You know, like we don't need anybody else, and it makes us extremely weak, extremely easy targets. You know, it's easy to take us down because we don't operate in those ways anymore as like as a united front. When you smear or attack one of us, we don't stand together. All like if I was attacked, my family would distance. We don't know him. We're not friends. You know what? Like that's how we work. They've separated us so that we're easy to take down. They can if any one of us speaks up, they just target that person and their family off. And that's why they don't need to censor and stuff because they have us all organized just like they want us. They know exactly what buttons to press to get things to happen. You know, they know exactly what they're doing when they call people anti-Semites or when they, you know, start applying pressure to your family members. You know, that's the kind of society we have where somebody in your family gets attacked. You don't rally around them. You extricate them. You literally exile them for, like, that's how it goes, man. It's just, what a world, what a society we've made.
Spent 2 hours on my podcast hanging out with me, Sean Hannity, this week. I had a great time with you, and we covered so much ground. I hope people will watch it wherever you get your video.
And unregulated capitalism, that's the whole point. It's like, we're consumers. We're not people. We don't have families. We're just consumers. And that's the whole point of capitalism. And like everything falls like chaff to capitalism. It's capitalism isn't a good, unmitigated good into itself. Like, capitalism worked for us because we had strong families, nuclear families, strong bonds of our communities. So capitalism worked. You didn't screw over your own people because your community bonds were so strong. But those bonds, they break them down just as quickly as they need to. Oh, you know what? Oh, damn, we can't take advantage of these people because they have too many community ties and they're not willing to sell out their brothers and sisters. Okay, well, we've got to work to destroying that family institution. It's got to be destroyed. Oh, marriages are getting in the way now. Shit, those marriages, they got to be broken up. Like, this stuff hasn't been happening at random. Capitalism works when you have good social cohesion and stuff. And it worked well for us, but now we don't have any of that stuff anymore. None of it. And we're like chickens just to the slaughter kind of a thing, like a chicken farm, just a bunch of individuals. And it's all in the pursuit of the almighty profit, the profit motive, graph go up, graph got to go up. Like, they really don't care about whether or not we have families anymore. That doesn't matter anymore to them. It doesn't matter that we're a cohesive society. No, they've been working to undermine that cohesion. How do we break that up? How do we make them, how do we get them as defenseless as possible? And when you break up the cohesion of families and communities, not only are they easier to control, but they have nobody to rely on at that point either. And the only thing they have left to turn to is the government. It's just, capitalism has gotten way out of control. Now all of a sudden, corporations are the most important communities, the most important systems and institutions. The nuclear family, to hell with that. It's all about that corporate family now. And we're suffering because of it. We're so miserable. Men, women, all of us. Everybody, black, white. Did you guys see what's going on with PBD? Patrick Bet-David? Bro, that guy is a scumbag, man. Dude runs a freaking Ponzi scheme, dude. Straight up, the guy runs a Ponzi scheme. That's how he made his bones, by robbing people. And they specifically preyed on Hispanic communities and stuff because they have family, strong communities and strong families. It's sickening.
Things have gone from bad to worst for Patrick Bet-David, because yesterday I did a video all about how he was getting exposed for being involved with this company called Goliath. They were apparently running some sort of Ponzi pyramid upside down triangle scheme. I mean, these guys really had an upside down triangle as their goddamn logo. It doesn't get more ridiculous than that. But Patrick Bet-David got absolutely cooked by CoffeeZilla for taking $1 million from these scammers, not giving it back to the people who need it to get made whole. And now, because he refused to apologize, because he refused to back down, now people are digging even deeper into his dark, nefarious past, and it's worse than we could have possibly imagined. Patrick Bet-David getting cooked. So this is the latest, right? Basically, after that CoffeeZilla interview, people have been saying, hang on a minute, this guy might not be as legit as we thought. And now people are digging back into his past. More stuff is coming up. So this is one of the things that's popping up. So apparently just last year, he was defending his company, the PHP Agency, and he claimed it wasn't a multi-level marketing scheme. We sold insurance. It's not an MLM. It's not an LLM. It's not a multi-level.
You apply for this PHP, you got to pay $200 to get a job there. You have to pay money to get a job there. Does that sound like a real business to y'all? Because that is what a Ponzi scheme is, when you make money off of building the company, or make money. You don't have a product. The product is the company. That's what he's doing.
Marketing triangular shaped scheme. All right. It's not an upside down triangle scheme. No, this is an insurance company. It might be Cap. Listen to this.
I think if I was worried about my business model, I would go on CoffeeZilla. What do you think? Do you
I think that it's not really capitalist.
Hang on a second. Do you think if I was worried about my business model, I would go on CoffeeZilla? They were actually very strong when they came back after me. We had a 2-hour conversation.
Yes.
We finished it. It was good to go. We moved on. Their claims that only 1% or 2% make and nobody makes it in insurance, they're right. Most people don't make it in insurance. Just like most people who move to California don't make it in Hollywood.
So I believe
and
the
most people
technical
don't make it in
term
real
for when you
estate.
make more money from getting people to be part of a company than from actually selling a service is called a multi-level marketing scheme. Do you think that that's a
No,
fair
not what it is. Not at
characterization
all.
of your company? Why not?
Do you know what multi-level is?
Yes, I know. It's where you make more money from. It's sort of like a
That's not the
pyramid scheme,
definition.
wherein
No.
you make more money from getting people to be part of it and selling them
Let
to
me
be part of the
educate
company.
you. A pyramid scheme doesn't have
Sure.
a product. Do you think
Pyramid schemes can have products, buddy. Okay. So basically, let me
Yeah, and product, that's a pretty loose definition. If life insurance is a product, get the
give you a backstory of how Patrick Bet David allegedly made his millions, and you can tell me if you think this sounds a bit like an upside down triangle scheme.
Patrick Bet David made his millions running a multi-level marketing company. PHP, People Helping People, or People Helping Patrick. The interviews that you've seen with Kobe Bryant, Jordan Peterson, etc., these are at PHP events, but that's not included in any of the branding. You have to be eagle-eyed and pause the video at the right moment to see in the background some logo that says PHP, or somebody in the crowd wearing a shirt that says PHP. He then took that content and released it on his own separate channel that had nothing to do with PHP, called Valuetainment, or PVD Podcast, and built a personal brand off the back of the money that he was generating from the MLM.
This is insurance. This is an insurance company. Yes.
look. Even
was the
even Shaq was like, "This is for insurance." And you know, those events that they set up there with Shaq and stuff, you had to pay for tickets to go to that event. That's why they get celebrities, because they have to. You have to go to the event if you work at if you're at that company. You have to go to the event. That's why they get celebrities to show up at the event, so that they can pretend that you're getting something for your money.
Company, and now he's reached escape velocity, where he has millions of followers who follow him for being a personal brand, which makes people more resistant to the idea that he ever was once running one of these kinds of organizations. Do you see how actually diabolical that is? Patrick Bet David made his millions.
So look, I don't know what PHP stands for. Maybe it stands for Patrick's Hidden Pyramid, okay? But basically he's saying, no, pyramid schemes don't have products. Sometimes they do. And he's saying, basically the idea is that he had this dodgy insurance company that was running like a multi-level marketing scheme, and he basically got some money and some success out of that. Before that imploded, he was basically able to parlay that into a successful career as a podcaster, as a presenter, as a you could argue, some people might argue conservative grifter, but basically, okay, he wants to sweep the PHP, all right, Patrick's Hidden Pyramid, under the rug. Okay, that's not really what it stands for. I'm joking. That's satire. Don't sue me. But anyway, a lot of people have been bringing this up. So the YouTuber Always Marco has actually interviewed some former PHP employees and affiliates about their experiences, and it wasn't a great look.
I was watching his content. I had a LinkedIn. I followed Patrick on LinkedIn. I think I liked one of his posts, and I got a message on LinkedIn, and it was one of the PHP agents. He reached out to me and basically asked me the typical spiel of, hey, do you keep your work options open, all that. And at the time, I was actually 17 years old. I was going into my senior year of high school, and I basically just went through the recruitment process with him. We hopped on a call, and he gave me the typical pitch that they give. I was very interested, but at the time, I didn't even have a credit card or anything like that. So I wasn't able to actually sign up because, I didn't have the ability. You have to pay $200 to join PHP.
Bro,
If you're trying to get a job and you're doing a
What
job
the
interview, you
fuck?
have to pay to get the job. You're being scammed.
And so that kind of went away.
Never heard of
And
that.
The funny thing was, when I told the guy that I was 17, he basically told me that, it's kind of an issue, but it's not really an issue. And looking back on it, I realized that he was probably just trying to hit a target. And I'm guessing now that he was going to maybe like fabricate my date of birth almost to get it in the system so he could hit his like promotion or something. That was my first
That's some
exposure.
shark shit.
So a lot of people have been kind of, have come across Patrick's company, and it just don't really add up. What do you mean $200? I'm no big city lawyer, big city, big money person, but I've got a few people that work for me. What do you mean? Like, how on earth could I ask potential employees, you got to pay me so that I can line you up this job? It sounds like nonsense, right? And it's described here as multi-level misery, which I do think is actually a pretty interesting way of putting it. But according to one allegation, Patrick's company had allegedly been targeting specific demographics of lower income and minorities without any prior business experience or knowledge, essentially preying on the vulnerable in society. Not a great look.
As a side note here, I just want to say I think it's really deplorable how, and every MLM in my experience does this, but on PHP's website right now in 2026, if you go to their website on the homepage, phpagency.com, you scroll down a little bit, Rob, scroll down a little bit, you'll see that they have a breakdown of their diversity stats. And it says 43% of the company is Hispanic or Latino, 34% Black African American. So already we're at 77%, 12% other, 11%.
Wonder why they don't go after white people. 10%? That's all? In a majority white country?
White. The gender breakdown, 53% women, 47% men, 92% of people had no prior industry experience, 7% were military veterans, average age, 35 years old.
Single
so to
mothers.
Me, this paints a picture of what they're doing. And even in Patrick's, I think it's his DJ Vlad interview, he talks about going and getting specifically young Latino women, young Hispanic women to sell this stuff. And it's just, not only is it ironic considering Patrick's views on like immigration and, diversity on his podcast, where he's like this very conservative sort of right-wing guy, which is completely contradicted by how he seems to run his company or who he targets for his company. But I don't know, I just have this picture in my mind of like, Spanish speaking single mom, average age 35 years old, no prior industry experience, maybe it's military wives, and it's just preying on a community, in my opinion, that has been known for strong family ties, working hard, supporting each other, and using that for a nefarious purpose.
That's
evil. And you look at the income disclosure from PHP. We know most people are losing money once you factor in their $150, or I don't know how much it is today. I think maybe $200. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, $200 now. Okay, so once you factor in just that cost, never mind the opportunity cost of your time, never mind whatever other monthly fees there might be, never mind whatever other training there is, never mind gas getting to and from the office if you're going in person. And now with this breakdown of the demographics, we know what people are losing money. And I just think
so. Look, they're saying he preying on the most vulnerable people. He getting Hispanic and low-income people with strong family ties to get in and sell this thing.
You got to hear why he picks those people.
Sound like multi-level misery to me. So former recruits from Patrick's companies also claim that they were actually trained to sell to their close friends and family first before then being pushed to buy insurance policies themselves. So you think you're getting a job and then they tell you to go and sell insurance to your family. Next thing you know, they try and say, hey, your turn to buy some insurance from yourself.
And then you create a top 25 is what they call it, where it's like your top 25 people that fit a certain criteria of, okay, maybe they have a family or they're this age to this age, or maybe they might have their work options open or whatever it may be. And that's basically anybody you can think of in your phone. And then you have to complete field trainings, which are essentially sales calls. And then you have to do a financial analysis in order to get the Fast Start School again. And the financial analysis is basically you having to buy a policy. And for me specifically, this is a bit of a story. When I was on the call with my mentor at the time, I basically expressed like, listen, I really don't think I need a policy. I really don't think I need a policy.
17.
And he says,
what the fuck?
He basically said two things. First, he said, okay, well, how can you sell something if you don't believe in it? And I was like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. And then the second thing he said was, I mentioned to him, like, listen, if something were to happen to me, I'm pretty sure my family would be able to take care of everything. Like maybe there will be costs, but like the odds are pretty low that I die first off. But then also, I'm pretty sure he can handle it. Like my dad's 50, he's got a job, whatever. And he said, well,
I remember.
Do you really want to put that burden on your family in like the hardest time of their life? And so you get your policy. And
very poor example of a Christian. Absolutely. And yeah, this is Amway all over again. Basically, it's all just another layer. You can it's like you can never get to the central you can never get to the core of it. It's all just layer after layer of veneer and facade and and he did all this. And then, how I remember when PBD started, he just tried to try and pass himself off as this good Christian American, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay.
Other thing you have to do is get a big event ticket. So you basically buy a ticket to go to one of Patrick's events. And then, yeah, so again, this list of things is to get to Fast Start School.
So to work for him, You got to buy his insurance, and you got to buy a ticket to his event. It just sounds like a whole load of nonsense. So what's really crazy is, okay, one former recruit actually claimed that he was expected to make sales calls before even getting licensed, meaning that he didn't even get commission for selling policies vis-a-vis free labor.
Okay, we can take this call one of two ways. We can talk to you more about PHP agency, what we do, how you can like earn an income with us, or we can talk to you more about like the product side and then kind of go that way. For me, all these calls ended up being sales calls, basically to try to sell policies, because the people were all typically older with jobs and stuff. But if they were my age, then it would pretty much be a recruitment call. So it kind of depended on the person. The kicker with this is that when you're doing these calls, because they frame it as exposure and you're getting training, you're not licensed yet. So any sale that's made, the commission goes straight to your mentor.
Yes, this is something I've talked about in my videos before. There's a really big insurance-themed MLM company whose name I can't remember for legal reasons, but I talked about how their Fast Start program, they have a system where they're trying to get you this Fast Start bonus, where you recruit 6 people and sell them a policy as well. But it's before you're licensed, and they tell you that it's part of your licensing process, it's part of your training, that you do this before you're licensed so that you have experience. This is how they frame it, right? So that you have
exactly
experience.
what they say.
Yeah, so that you have experience before you get licensed, so that way when you're licensed, you're ready to go. Well, really what it is that they're just leeching and sucking the blood of your warm market, who are going to be the people most likely to buy sales, your immediate friends and family.
You ever hear Patrick Bet David talk about the blue ocean strategy? Oh, you've run out of your own family members to scam and steal from? Well, just hire new guys on that have fresh, warm family members that have, a new ocean for you to shark in.
Get all of the commission, and then afterwards, when you are licensed, those people are already paid up with your upline, so they're not buying from you, and chances are you're not going to have much luck selling to the...
He robs you and your family, and then once you get licensed, you have to go find other suckers for you to rob. That's what it is. They get you hooked, and then they pressure you into robbing other people.
The people who you're less familiar with, like not immediate friends, or like, God forbid, trying to go out there in the world and like cold sell life insurance. Good luck. So now your only option really is to tap someone else's warm market, tap root someone else's warm market. So
that's diabolical, right? Just imagine that. You sign up and they like, yo, make a list of all the 25 people in your life that you're closest to that you think you'll be able to sell to easily. Great. Now we're going to put you on sales calls with a mentor, but you ain't trained yet. So we're going to take your leads. We're going to get the big dog that's above you in the... He's above you in the structure of the company. And then he's going to be getting all the commission out of all your people. You're not trained yet, so you're just getting some good experience harvesting all your contacts. And then by the time you try to get some commission, you done pissed off everyone in your life. You done scammed everyone in your life out of insurance. It's crazy. Okay, I didn't even know it got this deep with Patrick's scheme, man. So, business. So one insider described massive pay gaps inside of his company, along with alleged humiliation rituals. This was a real just torture chamber.
Time, one of the things that would hurt me the most was that let's say that month I made 15,000. My top guy made like $3,000 that month. And this is the guy that was there as many hours as me, probably doing the same amount of work that I was doing. And he only made like $3,000. And everybody else was making $50. I would get their commission checks because they would all be under my dashboard, $50, $100. And these guys were the ones that would like be pushing for me. We would call them flag carriers. Your flag carrier gets your MD, it gets you your upline to their promotion. These guys were like my flag carriers that would be there all day long pushing and fighting for me. And I felt bad because there was one guy that I completely humiliated because he told me he was going to do 3 recruits that week. He didn't do it. And so his punishment was, if you don't do it, before we started this competition, it was like, or this bet, if you don't do 3 recruits, what are you giving up? He's like, you come here. Like everybody's like on board.
It kind of the way, and they don't target white people because I feel like when you come up in your childhood and it's drilled into us, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You got to work for your money. And you hardly ever see white people trying to pull the get rich quick stuff. You don't see Indian people doing it either. They know you got to put in the work. You have to invest in yourself. But the Hispanic community, your traditional telemarketing communities, they're the ones that you can scam because they are always looking for this get rich quick scheme. They think that they can get rich without putting in effort or work. And they end up getting screwed.
For that, and I was like, okay, cool. If you don't get the recruits, I'm cutting your hair. And guess what? It was this one thing was like, I'm a dad now, and the one thing I always try to do with my kids is I try to keep my promises. If I tell my son I'm going to go get ice cream with you today, and I don't do it, even though he's little, he's going to remember my dad.
But really, I mean, it's obvious that's a scamming company. And Patrick Bet David, you know, it's funny. I always thought it was kind of strange how his business was kept out of sight and how you never knew what he did. You don't. I mean, he said insurance, but you know that doesn't really wash. You know, like, have you ever met people that are like insurance? Like, like when do you ever meet somebody who does that for a living? You know, it's, I don't know. It seemed sketchy to me. And sure enough, come to find out, yeah, he runs a pyramid scheme, or, you know, this crooked ass company. And he puts up a great facade, you know, but in the end, when I think about it, it's like, yeah, he is just one of those sleazy cologne wearing scumbags, some sleazy big nose, hook nose Syrian dude, you know, looking to screw everybody he can get his hands on. Like, I honestly, I thought, it surprises me, like, that it hasn't gotten out more. Like, sometimes I'm kind of blown away that, like, you got, like, that when I find out stuff that nobody else knows it, and I'm like, how is it that I discovered this shit? Like, why do I always stumble across stuff like that? I don't know, but it's awful. I mean, and the fact that that guy is like not a conservative darling, but he certainly wasn't, you know, he was certainly getting a lot of attention and treated like he was a good person, you know. And I didn't see any evidence of that. I mean, the whole time I watched him, I never saw any legitimate anything. And the reason being is all that illegitimate stuff he was doing, he was and they said at the beginning of this video, he was parlaying that into a podcasting career. You know, he was, okay, I did all this illegal evil shit, but if I can just get get a podcast started and going before that stuff comes to light, then I'll be okay. And it seems to have worked so far, but you know, now people are finding out. It's ridiculous. Awful. Shit, that's it. That's pretty much it for me, guys. I don't want to drag it out. I wanted to do something longer, but I don't want to just go on without any ammunition. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I just wanted to kind of jump on and vent and show y'all what I've been looking at. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'm sure it'll be tomorrow, I would imagine. That's what Nick said anyway, last Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, fellas. God bless.